serious? Brad asked his longtime best friend Sarah. That's our boss, and you already know what the women say about him. Brad was right about that. Sarah knew what other women said about Sean and the things that he liked to do. Everyone knew how good Sean was with the ladies. They would go with him willing enough. The problem was the way he acted after he got them alone. They said he was very handsy and aggressive, and not the good kind of hair-pulling, ass-spanking aggressive. Sean was said to get violent when he was told no. Sean didn't like to be told no. Well, he liked to be told no, because he liked to feel in charge and a little mean. Sean was not too proud to use force to get what he thought he was owed. He's really sweet. Sarah was already much more drunk than she planned on getting. Brad showed up, and like a good best friend, slowed down Sarah's drinking so she wouldn't get sick. I know what all those bitches say, and we both know that bitches will make shit up to keep women away from a man that didn't really like them. Brad rolled his eyes. I'm serious. You're being pretty damn stupid, Brad told her. Just so you know. Brad hated being mean to Sarah. She was his best friend, and he wished they were more. You're really thinking about taking that chance? What happens when you wake up strapped to a bed with that creepy asshole standing over you with an evil look in his eyes? Don't shake your head. You know exactly what look I'm talking about. Don't be a dick, Sarah said, but she had permagrin that comes with drinking a lot. Anyways, you are here. Would you let that happen to me? She gave Brad a smile that made him love her and hate her at the same time. He loved it because it made her face shine as beautifully as the moon shines in the sky. He hated it for the exact same reason. She knew he loved it, so she used it against him. You know how women are, Sarah repeated. If a guy doesn't like her, she gets mean. Everyone knows that. What are you talking about? She knew how to push Brad's buttons better than anyone on the planet. I'm sure there are some cases where that is true, but when every single girl that goes out with him says the same thing, that raises some red flags. I think somebody's jealous, Sarah said, then pooped his nose. She loved teasing Brad. He hated it. It was fairly obvious to everyone they knew that Brad was crushing on his best friend. Sarah played that up when she needed to. Don't worry, nobody could ever take your place. You are and always will be my best friend. Brad finally heard it, and when he noticed, he realized how many times she had done it since they met. She was being patronizing. I'm not jealous of that asshat. Brad was pissed. Sarah knew how much Brad hated Sean. He couldn't stand it when she used his crush against him. He's a dirtbag and you know it. He's not even good looking. He just has money. If Brad were being honest, Sean was a very good looking guy. Not to mention charming. He had short brown hair, cut in the perfect style for Sean's face shape. His cheekbones were high, and his jawline was magnificent. He took care of himself very well physically, and always smelled better than anyone in the building. Brad was starting out at the gym, but was still a heavy guy. Sean was there almost every time Brad went. Sean always pretended he didn't see Brad, even though some of the times it was clear that Sean had seen him. Brad didn't care. He couldn't stand Sean. The things the girls said about him made him a terrible person. Are you crazy? Sarah was starting to get a little frustrated at Brad. He just didn't want her to be happy for some reason. We both know what's going on. You want to be with me and get mad every time I like someone else. We're not going to be together, so get over it. Sarah stomped away and found Sean waiting for her at the bar. Brad watched with an aching heart and anger growing inside him. His brown eyes undressed her, and that smile was a panty dropper smile. It was working on Sarah. Brad watched Sean mouth the words. What the hell did he want? The music wasn't blasting, but it was loud enough to block out the crowd chatter, especially from across the room. Brad really hated that asshole. He wished he didn't need this job. One day Brad would get over on Sean. Brad didn't know how or when. He just knew that he had to. Sean raised his glass to Brad and nodded. Brad did the same. Neither had a pleasant look on their face. Hey, Brad. He knew that voice. He turned around to see Nina smile. It was a beautiful thing. Don't worry about her. You're too good for her anyway. Nina was wrong, of course. Sarah was the kind of woman every man wanted. Blonde, perfect body, and a bubbly personality. She was a triple threat. But that is not what Brad liked about her. Brad liked the late nights and the long talks where he learned who she really was. Brad knew her better than anyone ever could. It's not that, Brad lied, but he fooled nobody. You know how that guy is. I don't want her to get herself hurt. I get that, Nina said. But she is also a grown-ass woman, very capable of making her own dumbass decisions. She is a grown-ass woman, Brad agreed. But just so you know, I would do the exact same thing for you. I know you would, Nina said. And that bitch doesn't appreciate it. If you weren't so blind, I could tell you some things. She isn't very nice when she talks about you. What do you mean? Brad asked, just a little angry with Nina. What could you tell me? She was making him think that his longtime friend really didn't even like him. Oh, Brad. Nina was still wearing that magical smile on her moon face. Nina was chubby and a gorgeous young woman. Brad didn't know her well, but he would have guessed mid-20s. Her green eyes shined with a genuine kindness that was becoming rare in today's world. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. I might, Brad said, but his doubt was clear in his voice. I really think you need to tell me what you're talking about. Brad saw Sean buy Sarah a shot. He would back off and talk with Nina, but he would keep watch to make sure Sarah was safe. You should really tell me. Let's get a drink, then we can talk, Nina said. If I think you can handle it later, then I will tell you. So you can either worry about your friend, she put the word friend in air quotes, all night, or you can hang out with a kinda cute girl that kinda likes you, and would like to get to know you better. Then there it was again. Nina smiled. Brad raised his eyebrows and smiled. He had no idea that Nina felt that way. Really? He asked. You like me? He really needed to hear that. Brad was quickly slipping from sadness into depression, watching Sarah go from guy to guy while he watched from the sidelines. He had been thinking a lot about his relationship with Sarah. She really seemed to be using him more than she liked him. It seemed like she liked him, but only when she needed him to keep creeps away or make sure she got home safe when she drank too much and didn't find a man for the night. Maybe they weren't as good of friends as Brad thought. Here it was, New Year's Eve, and he was hanging out with a hot girl, and he was worried about Sarah. Sarah made it very clear that she wanted nothing to do with Brad tonight. He would back off and enjoy hanging out with Nina. Brad didn't think Sarah knew what she was asking for. She was drunk, and Sean was a predator. She was just a little lonely and a lot horny. Sean was right there to take advantage of those facts. Like most people in the world, Sarah would not make good decisions while being drunk, lonely, and horny. She did look like she was having fun. Nina twisted Brad's face towards her. Seriously, Brad. Nina sounded a bit irritated. Brad knew if he hesitated any longer, he would miss out on his chance with Nina. And he did love Nina's smile. Do you want to hang out with me, or do you want to watch that slut hang out with another man? Again. Her white eyes were beautiful and very hopeful that Brad would make the right decision. Brad did want to hang out with Nina, so he took her hand and they both walked to the bar. You want a shot? Brad made sure to put his back to Sarah and Sean. He wasn't trying to be rude, but he did want to focus his full attention on Nina. She had been right. He didn't want to watch Sarah go home with another man. Again. A shot? Nina had such a breathtaking smile. Brad was so glad she decided to talk to him. It's been a long time since I've done a shot. Well, tonight seems like a perfect night for it. Brad was feeling better than he had for a long time. He didn't realize how much watching Sarah was affecting him mentally. He thought the slow descent into sadness began on the night she went home with his old friend Jimmy. The worst part was, Brad is the one that introduced them. For once, Sarah could watch Brad have a great time and go home with someone. All right, Nina said, smiling. She liked the happiness that had taken over Brad. But nothing too strong. I don't drink much anymore. I'll do one of those grape shots. Done, Brad said. And you have kids, right? Nina told Brad she did. I get that. I won't make you drink too much, but we are going to have some fun. Brad took a shot of whiskey. Nina shot the grape liquor. Nina puckered her face, making Brad laugh. Come on now, Brad said. That stuff's like shooting a wine cooler. He did understand, though. That stuff tastes like cough syrup. Brad was never one to get rowdy or be the center of attention, but Nina brought something out of him. He was having a great time. He spent the next hour dancing with Nina and taking shots. Nina took one for every 3 of Brad's. He never even noticed Sarah watching him with a bitchy look on her face. Do you think maybe you should take a break for a minute? Nina asked. I really don't want you to get sick. She pulled his hand to her, brushing it against her large left breast. His stomach did 12 somersaults. She gave him a look that was somehow much less subtle than the brush against her boob. Yeah, that would suck for sure. Brad couldn't believe how good his night was going. He completely forgot Sarah was even here. You're right. I don't drink much either, and it's starting to get in my head. Do you smoke? Nina scrunched her face up. No way. Cigarettes are nasty. Nina didn't realize Brad was a smoker. She had never kissed a smoker and planned on keeping it that way. No, not cigs, Brad clarified. Do you smoke weed? Brad hoped that she did, but hoped even more that it wasn't a deal breaker for her that he did. I smoked cigs a long time ago, when I was young and dumb, but now it's just weed for me. Oh, okay. I'm glad it's not cigarettes. She hated the way they smelled. I do, but I don't like to do it at work. But go ahead. I need to use the ladies' room anyway. She smiled at Brad. He had never seen a more hypnotizing smile. Sweet. I'm glad you aren't weird about it. Brad was really thinking this was going somewhere with Nina. He wished he would have paid attention to her since she started 7 months ago. Brad kissed her on her right hand, and she smiled. He had never done that before, but Nina's smile was bringing something out of him that he never knew was there. Brad used the restroom. When he walked out, Sarah was standing in the hall waiting for him. Are you having fun with Nina? Sarah put an extra helping of bitch on Nina's name. You can do a lot better than her. I didn't know you liked fat chicks. Are you kidding me? Brad was pissed. He was not about to let Sarah badmouth Nina. I'd say I didn't know you liked dickheads, but here I am watching you throw yourself at another one. What's wrong with you? Sarah asked Brad. Do you not like me anymore? She was trying to guilt-trip Brad. He wasn't going to let her. He was spending tonight hanging out with Nina. Without warning, Sarah grabbed Brad's cheeks, pulled him down to her, and planted a kiss on his lips. She tried to slip her tongue in his mouth, but Brad pulled away before she could. He couldn't believe that she waited until he found someone to make a move on him. When he thought about it, yeah, he could believe it. Don't do that. He didn't want to blow his chance with Nina. She could be watching from anywhere. You could have done that at any time in the last few years, and you choose the night I met Nina to do this? Brad was seeing the real Sarah for the first time. Nina was probably right when she insinuated that Sarah said things about Brad. I didn't know you was that petty. Brad walked away from Sarah for the night, as far as he was concerned, probably forever. This is why I never gave you a chance. Sarah was spitting venom with every word. You couldn't handle a real woman like me. Brad didn't look back, or even acknowledge she said a single word. You're so weak. You were too scared to make a move on a woman you claimed to like. At that moment, Brad was glad that he never had. You're a whiny little boy. You always have been, and always will be. Brad opened the stairwell door, still not acknowledging Sarah. I hate you. The stairwell door slammed, blocking out the rest of Sarah's words. Nina was right about Sarah. Brad's heart broke as he walked down the stairs to the parking garage. Brad stood behind a pillar in the shadows, smoking his joint. People would be able to smell the weed, but he would be hard to see. He couldn't stop thinking about Nina's smile. It was enchanting. When he first came down here, he thought he would be thinking about Sarah the whole time, but he didn't. He was all about Nina tonight. I can't believe you kissed that loser. That was Sean, and he sounded pissed. He could only be talking to Sarah. I thought we had something. Brad knew he was lying. He was only pissed off he took a loss to Brad, who Sean considered beneath him. We do, Sarah said, but could tell in her voice that she was wasted. I just felt sorry for him. You see how pathetic he is? But he was always good for a ride home from the bar when I would drink too much. You're a liar, Sean said. He sounded exactly how a woman beater would sound. The rumors about him were most likely true. It was exactly how he pictured Sean talking to women. Get away from me, slut. Brad heard her stumble. Sean better not have put his hands on her. Brad was not a fighter, but he would give it a shot if he had to. Please, Sean, Sarah said. Brad laughed at the thought of her calling him pathetic. I'll never talk to him again. I promise, baby. She was right about that. She would never talk to Brad again. I said get away from me, Sean said. Then Brad heard the distinct sound of a smack, followed by Sarah crying out. That son of a bitch hit her. Brad peeked her on the pillar to see Sarah looking shocked and holding her cheek. Brad stepped out into the light. Did you just slap her, asshole? Both Sarah and Sean looked at Brad, who hit the joint one last time, then threw it on the ground. I can't let you do that again. Seriously, Chubbs? Sean was in far better shape than Brad. Brad knew he was most likely about to take an ass kicking. I'll smack your ass too, and there's nothing you can do about it. Get the hell out of here, Brad, Sarah said, still holding her red cheek. Go find your fat girl. You have never been anything to me anyways. Brad ignored her. Don't ever do that shit again. You don't get to smack women. I don't care how much money you have. Brad sounded as tough as he ever had in his life. He felt it also. It was not saying much, but it was something. Shut your mouth and get back inside before I fuck you up, then fire your dumb ass. Sean always spoke like he had control in every situation. Go upstairs now, whatever your name is. To prove his point, Sean backhanded Sarah, knocking her hard to the ground. Brad walked completely out of the shadows so he could square off with Sean in the driveway. Brad knew he was about to get his ass kicked, but if he could get one lucky shot, he could end it early. Brad swung from left field, and Sean dodged easily. That was the first time since elementary school that Brad threw a punch at someone. He swung with his left, and again Brad missed. This time Sean punched Brad hard in the cheek. It split Brad open and knocked him to the ground. Brad was back on his feet quickly. He was knocked a little goofy, but the feeling was brief. Stay down, punk, Sean said. Sarah had also gotten back to her feet. I don't really want to have to hurt you. I was trying to get laid tonight, not fight. Sean and Brad circled each other. Brad was surprised when Sarah snuck up behind him and cracked Brad hard over the head with her shoe. Brad stumbled and Sean punched him again in the same cheek. Brad went down to one knee. Get the hell out of here, slut. This time Sean punched her in the side of the head hard enough to send her to the ground. She looked like she was knocked out. Now I'll finish you off, then her. I like them limp. Brad was disgusted with this man. Brad got back to his feet, but he was very woozy. The fight was over, but Brad was not ready to give up. He needed to land one good punch. Fuck you, dude. Sean drilled Brad with another hard punch. This time Brad knew he was not getting back up. He was not all the way out, but he was damn close. Somewhere in the distance of the parking garage, or maybe from the fog clouding his mind, he heard tires squealing. Brad was on his knees before Sean like he was praying to a minister. I told you to back the hell off, Sean said. You just had to try to be a hero, didn't you? Now look at you. You got both of you fucked up. Sean slapped Brad hard across his face, and it echoed away in the parking lot. Was it worth it? She never even liked you. Brad heard the roar of an engine and tires squealing like someone running from the cops. Who the hell was driving like that? Out of his peripheral vision, he saw a blur of movement. Where Sean had been moments ago, now was Sarah's car. It took a moment for Brad's mind to register that Sean had been hit by a car. Brad couldn't believe what just happened. He struggled to his feet and saw Sean smashed under the back tires of the small SUV. When he looked in the window, he saw Nina smile. "Holy shit," Brad said, but he couldn't help smiling back at Nina. "What did you do?" "I saved your life," she answered. "He was going to kill you." Brad was beyond confused by everything going on. His brain felt like a hurricane. "I'm his assistant. I know him much better than you. He wouldn't have stopped. He's fucking crazy." "So what do we do now?" Brad asked. The two of them could be in a world of trouble. "Do you have a plan?" "Of course I do." Brad thought he figured out why she was driving Sarah's car. Nina helped Brad carry Sarah's limp body to the driver's seat of her car. She was still wasted and either passed out or knocked out. Either way, there was no way she could remember what happened. Brad buckled Sarah in, then shut the door. Because of the marks on her face and the marks on his hands, the cops would think he beat her and she ran him down. Sarah was able to open her eyes for a few seconds. Through Sarah's blurred vision, she could clearly see Nina smile. Thanks for coming on a ride with Lost Souls. Please come back next week for another drive and another story. And remember, all lost souls are welcome here.